What's going on, everyone? It is April 17th, 2018. Hope you're all having an awesome day. And so basically what we're going to be talking about today is a few tips on becoming a better songwriter. Whether you're a rock musician or you're a rapper or you're a pop artist, it doesn't really matter. These tips will go a long way as far as developing your craft and your style. It's all about how you use it. So, let's first talk a little bit about rhyming, right? There's a few different ideas for rhyming in music. We got, like, true rhymes. So, I'm going to use an example of the word rhyme. Words that rhyme with rhyme are climb, time, slime, prime, lime. Anything that ends with the ME is going to naturally have that kind of flow. So even words that have multi-syllables. So you have to realize rhyming is a lot like a puzzle. So it depends on, you have pieces that rhyme and you have words that don't rhyme. And it's how you shift around the words to get the words that rhyme to flow with other words that rhyme. And those filler words, the ones that don't rhyme, to not feel awkward in your sentence or in your line, in your cadence, in your delivery. All right? Now, it's basically the idea with rhyming is you come up with a sentence, and it's basically how you deliver that sentence in a melody and a rhythm. It's about your cadence. So whether, like I said, any genre of music, doesn't matter if it's bluegrass or it is, I don't know, Tibetan monk, Gregorian chants or something like that. It doesn't matter. It's all about how your airflow is. And then, you know, obviously, by the way, obviously in Gregorian chants, it's not exactly be the same as pop music or whatever, but you get what I mean. It's about the flow of air. It's about the delivery of it. So let's go back to like rap music, especially rap music that's pretty modern today. It's very melodic. It's very catchy. You know, so you're delivering whatever the rhymes are in a way that sounds more musical, but it's got a cadence that flows in time with the beat. So if just to give you an example of a rhyme, how you use those rhymes, you could be like, all I need is one rhyme, one time to get over this mountain that I climb through the grime, you know, something like that. See, all those words end with the ME, and I use the filler words to kind of just fill to create the flow, but the rhymes is where the emphasis is going to be on. So now that we kind of covered true rhymes, then we have false rhymes. And false rhymes are basically words that kind of sound similar in the sense that they don't end, if we're using the word rhyme again, it's not going to end with ME. It might end with NE. You know, it's going to end with different letters, but it still makes that same sound. You deliver it with the same kind of, I can't think of the word. Phonetation, I don't remember. I might have made that shit up. But it's basically just how you enunciate it, alright? So, you have to sound out the words. If we're going to use the word rhyme again, I could use, we got rhyme, line, sign, shine, fine, spine. Those are some that I could think of. And all those majority of them ended with NE. Sign ends with GN, but it still makes that same type of sound. So keep in mind, you know, they might not necessarily rhyme off paper or off music, but in music, when the music's playing, you have way more freedom with the words that you could choose to rhyme. I've heard Lil Wayne rhyme like purple with orange, and that was just because of the way the music was and the way he delivered it with confidence and style, and that's all I'm talking about. It's all that. It's all about the confidence in how you say things. You're going to hear me say it 1,000 times and more. Now, a good example of using rhymes, or using words that rhyme that are false rhymes would be like writing rhymes on paper lines leads the people with picket signs. All right, so those words don't necessarily rhyme with the word rhyme, but they sound alike, and that's good enough in music. Now, if this was like some type of rhyming contest, then you probably lose. But again, it's music. So in music, there's no real rules. You could do whatever you want, and it's all, that's the confidence in it. Your confidence in your own ability to break the rules and say, hey, I'm gonna challenge this, and this is what I'm doing. Check it out. You know, that's that confidence. Let's see. All right, cool. And then we have multi-syllable rhymes, and multi-syllable rhymes are essentially just you know, it's literally that multi-syllable, so it's going to be more than just one-syllable words. So let's think of bad habit. All right, so bad habit rhymes with ass grab it, fat rabbit, that's ratchet, clap clap shit, flap jacket, flap jacket. All right, so those are some examples of multi-syllable rhymes. You'll hear it, all like the most gifted rappers, whether it's underground or mainstream, they all have that skill on lock. They understand how to use it. Whether they use it a lot or they don't is up to them, but they know how to use it, and that's what matters. All right? Yeah, so when you're flowing, you don't want to be using too... I hear this time and time again with amateur artists, particularly. They don't know how to ride a groove. They don't know, you know, so by the time they kind of lock into a groove with their flow of words, the listener is starting to get into it. They change it. And they constantly do that, and that prevents the listener from really attaching to the song, because they're going to just constantly be thinking about, shit, like, I don't know what, I was just getting into that. I don't know why they changed that, you know? And that you don't want to create a disconnect between the listener and the music. So always keep that in mind, whether you're an artist or a songwriter for an artist. You don't want to create anything that's going to throw the person off. Unless it's really attentional and it fits that genre of music, like, you know, maybe some post-hardcore. Because I've heard some of those bands do some crazy things. So, like I said, rhyming is all about the groove and how you enunciate the words. Maybe one thing you could do is, if you're first starting off, is start counting syllables. So whether you have you know, you first come up with the first line and it has 8 syllables in it, you count each part of each word and you count it 8 syllables, right? Well, then the next line should, depending on how your flow is, a good idea would be to come up with the next line that's in the ballpark of 8, 9, or 7, 8, 9 lines, syllables. And that's going to create uniform. And that's how you're going to create a flow. You know, very often, again, artists try to jam 1,000 words into a single verse. And unless you're like Aesop Rock or like an Eminem or a Tech 9, and you've developed that ability, it sounds really weird. It doesn't sound normal. It sounds odd. So you need to change that. All right? And you're wasting your own time, and you're wasting time like mine and other producers when you come into the studio and you bring that nonsense. So think about it. Record yourself first, and if it sounds like you're on acid and you're freaking out in the dark, and that's just gibberish, you know, maybe hit the brake pedal and rewrite the song. All right? Cool. So basically, rhyming, this is a cool idea. I was thinking about this. So even rhyming, it's just essentially, what I do is I think of a word, or a random word will pop up in my head, and then with that word in mind, I'll think of as many rhyming words as possible. And then with those rhyming words that I came up with, I'll then just start creating sentences with those, and then I just pick out the best sentence in my mind, which one I like the best, and then, or, you know, which one follows suit. So I'll go down the line just like that. And, you know, it's just like you kind of create a flow that way, in a writer's sense, because by the second or third line, when you're doing that, you kind of have an idea of what you're trying to say now, and it creates an easy way to develop a story or develop some type of direction for your song. So that's a good thing to think about. Another cool writing trick that you can do, especially if you're just first writing, getting into writing, or even if you're kind of experiencing writer's block. And by the way, if you have writer's block, you should be pumped up, because that's a good sign. That means that your standards have leveled up and you expect more from yourself. So don't I hear too many times, I have writer's block, I don't know what to do, I can't write any songs that I like. Well, that's just because you leveled up. So instead of fighting that, you have to accept that, relax into it, and then you'll probably write some of the best shit you've ever thought you could write, you know? It's all about the right attitude with it, all right? So going back to what I was saying, one thing you could do if you have a lot of thoughts or your mind's racing, you could jot down for 5 minutes, get a piece of paper or write on your phone in the notepad. You could jot down as many ideas or thoughts that pop up in your head. It doesn't even have to be complete sentences. It doesn't have to rhyme. This isn't writing a song. This is random thoughts. So you could be like blue, cardboard box, Audi, any shrimp. It doesn't matter. You can write the most random shit, but basically you want to get all those random thoughts out of your head onto the paper. You know, it'd be great to write towards a song idea, especially like if you play the music, if you have the music available, the instrumental, play that as you're doing this, and write down everything that corresponds to that you relate to the music. All right, but if you're just you're on a train, or you're on like public transportation, or on a plane, or just chilling in your room and you don't want to listen to music, whatever the case may be, you can still do that. Jot down every thought. It could be as random as hell. It doesn't matter. And basically what you want to do after that is first you're clearing your mind of all those thoughts, and you're going to be opening up the room for more thoughts, you know, and to be even more creative. Use your imagination more. And now you can even look at some of those words, and some of those might be gold, and that could be the theme of your song. Or it could be the first sentence. I mean, you literally could write a whole paragraph if you want, if that's all in your mind. You could be as detailed as possible, or you could be as vague as possible. It doesn't matter. But just get all those ideas out of your head onto paper, because once you do that, it becomes a real thing. It's no longer just something living inside. It's in the universe. It's real. It's in reality. It's down on paper. You can physically read it. You can share it with somebody. They can physically read it, and that's the idea. That's the first step. All right. So that's one cool thing to think about. Another one idea that I do often when I songwrite is sometimes I'll songwrite and come up with lyrics first, but most of the time I'll come up with I'll make the instrumental first. I'll play the guitar, or at least I'll come up with the some idea, some type of frame for the song. And then from there, I'll start coming up basically with this, which is I like to imagine what the music feels like. You know, maybe the room feels like the music feels like I'm in a bar, like some type of dive bar scene. Or maybe the music feels like it's like some type of like barren desert. It's really open, and, you know, kind of lonely feeling. I don't know. It's up to you and how you interpret it, you know. But basically, based off of what the music kind of feels like, you want to then paint a picture in your head. Maybe kind of think of it as like a movie, or think of it as a music video. And you kind of want to come up with the most concise way to deliver that message. All right? So if it's personal, for instance, imagine that person is in the room with you and you're talking right to them. You know, that might give you a whole idea of how you want to word everything and express yourself. What would you say if they're in that room? And maybe you know, you didn't say something right the first time, and now in the song, this is a chance for you to be like, well, what if I said this? It's the whole idea. You know, if you're in a club, imagine, what does everyone do in the club? What is everyone wearing in the club? Are the girls dancing in cages? It's up to your imagination, and basically you want to paint the picture of that. If it's like a reflective song, picture that memory. You know, try to take a trip down memory lane. Imagine you're in that room, or imagine if it was like wherever you were. Just paint that environment. Try to recapture what everything was going on in that moment, and then choose the best words to describe it. And some other quick tips I could think of on the spot right now would be like, be relatable, but don't force it. You don't want to be you know, people can tell if you're being genuine or not. And if you're kind of talking about stuff that, how do I explain this? It's kind of like, you know, when a friend, somebody new walks into a room and you immediately just get that vibe that like something's not right about this person. Well, that's kind of the same thing with music. You kind of get here if this person's being themselves or being some type of version of themselves, or they're totally just living something they're not, you know? So by being relatable, if you just kind of write about your own life and not just make it all up completely. It's not wrong to make up stuff, you know. That's part of the imagination, and especially if you're telling like you just want to tell like a story, but more so, you know, telling people do this kind of stuff, but when you don't really do it, it's kind of hypocritical. That's my point. So if you just write about your own life, and people will naturally relate to it, because, you know, people out there are going through similar things. And it's not going to be the exact thing that, obviously, but people are going through somewhat similar things as everyone, you know. That's just how the world is, you know. Even when you feel kind of like it's, no one else has gone through this, this is just me, it's not usually the case. That's just like, you know, some type of illusion that we lived in our own minds. So that's just something to think about. You know, also, you want to be descriptive but vague, meaning the line has to have meaning, but you don't want to be so much that it reads like an essay for the SATs or for, you know, for English class. It shouldn't sound like that. It should sound like you're using metaphors, or that you're not so grammatical. That's the idea. You don't have to be so grammatical. I meet too many artists that are like, oh, I love English class, and I like to use all the semicolons and when I write and blah, blah, blah. It's like, get rid of that. That shit does not matter in music. I mean, it might be like a personal style thing, and that's cool, but don't let that control you. And too often I see that artists are being controlled by that idea. So you gotta let go of that. There's nothing wrong with that, but if you let it control you and you force you have to write your lyrics around that idea, you're gonna be setting up yourself for a lot of issues and frustration instead of just being free and letting nature just naturally do its thing. All right. So another idea is be conversational in your writing. Like I said a couple minutes ago. You know, imagine a person's in your room. If you're writing a song about someone, like a special someone, you know, imagine that person's in the room and you're talking to them. Or, you know, it's all up to you. If it's a song about like a relative, imagine you're talking to them. If you want to be essentially writing lyrics like you're telling a story to your friends, you know, that's going to create, even when you deliver your lyrics, you should kind of give that attitude, especially in pop music and mainstream music. You want to have that nonchalant, I'm chilling, I'm cool, vibing with my friends attitude, you know, and that's how you deliver it with the music. That's going to create back to the other point, a relatable vibe. Because if you're just yelling at the person, it might be good to hype people up, but only so many artists could do that without sounding like they're trying too hard. And another last thing too is that the listener is going to interpret your lyrics however they feel anyways. So, you know, don't dwell too much on, are these lyrics make enough sense, all that stuff. Like, who cares? As long as there's a meaning in your lyrics, or even if there is no meaning, even if it's just feel-good music and just fun type of music, as long as it has some type of direction to it and some type of experience or whatever it might be, people are going to love it. or they're going to hate it, but it's not up to you to decide that. So you got to stop dwelling on that. The free market will decide that. The people will decide that, all right? So however you choose to display your message, whether it is obvious that what the song's about, or you completely hide the meaning of the song and it's really abstract, it's up to you. But just keep in mind, the listener is going to interpret the lyrics based off of their own life experiences and their own beliefs, their own wisdom, etc. Alright? So just don't dwell on it too much. Strive to be badass. Don't strive to be perfect, alright? So with that said, that was a few tips that I could think of for improving your songwriting skills. If you like this video, give it a like, share, comment, do what you want, alright? Show it to grandma. And I will talk to you tomorrow. Have a good one.